alaikum and good morning everyone. I am Miss Tehseen Mistri, the English teacher teaching in Anjumanai Islam's AA Khatkhate English Secondary School. Today we are going to start a new topic in our Standard 9th English textbook. The name of this topic is The Necklace. This is a story which is divided into two parts. So today we will begin with the first part of the story. So without any further ado, let's begin. The Necklace. Methilde was a pretty and charming girl, born as if by an error of fate into a family of clerks. She had no means of becoming known, understood, loved, or be wedded to an aristocrat, and so she let herself be married to a minor official at the Ministry of Education. So, in the very beginning of the lesson, that is with the first line itself, we all come to know that here is the central character of our story. The name of this character is Methilde. Now, this is a girl, Methilde, who is very pretty and very charming. She is very good looking, she is very petite, and she is born by an error of fate, that is, by chance, but sadly, she is born into a family of clerks, into a family of middle class people. She had no means of becoming known, understood, loved, or be wedded to an aristocrat, and so she let herself be married to a minor official at the Ministry of Education. Now, this girl Methilde, by no means she could become known. She wanted to be famous. She wanted to be rich. She loved the life of the rich and the famous. But this poor little girl, who was born by an error of fate, which means a twist of fate, she was born into a family, a middle class family. She had no way by which she could become famous. She did not know or any way by which people could understand her point of view. Because of all these things, she was never happy with her condition, and she had a mindset that nobody loved her, and she did not know anybody whom she could marry and become rich. That is, she did not know any rich man whom she could marry and ultimately fulfill her dream of living a famous, rich, luxurious life. The word aristocrat here means a noble man. A noble man. And because of all these confusions that were going on in her head all the time, she let herself be married to a minor official at the Ministry of Education. So she believed and she had already decided that her condition is never going to change. Whatever she has always wished for herself, to be rich and famous, that wish can never be fulfilled, and so with no other way left, she got married to a very minor official, to a middle class man who was working at the Ministry of Education. She dressed plainly because she had never been able to afford anything better. So this girl Methilde, she always wore very simple, plain, dull clothes because she was born into a middle class family. She got married to a middle class man. So in her entire life, at least till now, she was never able to buy anything which was very luxurious, or she was never able to buy anything which was very expensive, but at the same time it was very, very pretty looking. She suffered endlessly, feeling she was entitled to all the luxuries of life. She suffered because of her shabby, poorly furnished house. So this girl Methilde, She suffered endlessly each and every day, each and every second, because she believed that she deserved better, but ultimately, you can say it's destiny that she got married to a middle class man. She was born also in the same middle class family. So whatever she had wished for or whatever she believed that she deserved never came her way. And because of this, she was always sad and she was always suffering. Also, she was suffering because of her shabby, poorly furnished house. Shabby means inferior quality. Now, because she was married to a minor official, to a middle class man, definitely his house would not have been very fancy or a big house. It would have been a small little apartment. And this lady Methil, she wanted completely different for herself. She wanted something completely opposite for herself. She wanted to be rich. She wanted big house, cars, servants, expensive clothes, fancy looking jewelry. But here she was, reality was something else. She was in a very small little apartment. The apartment was also very shabby. It was not very well furnished apartment, and the furniture inside the house was also very of very poor quality. So or even for once, if she wanted to think good for herself, these small little things which were present around her, all the materialistic things, they always made her feel upset and depressed. All these things that another woman of her class would not even have noticed tormented her and made her resentful. She dreamed of a grand palatial mansion with vast rooms and inviting smaller rooms, perfumed for afternoon chats with close friends. So, all these things, like any other middle class woman, would have never even noticed all these things around her, because middle class people, for them, life is very simple. They don't actually bother about these things that are present around them. In fact, they are grateful that at least they have whatever they have. But this lady here, Method, she was completely different from all the middle class ladies who were around her. She noticed each and everything in her house. She noticed the color of the walls. She noticed even the curtains, the carpet, the furniture, the utensils. She had she had noticed everything that was present around her, and after looking at everything, she used to feel depressed all the time. So these little things which she kept noticing, they tormented her, that is, they disturbed her, and they made her resentful. That is, they made her feel unhappy about her life, about her existence. Now, why was she always unhappy? Because right from the time she got mature, or she started understanding things, she has always she had always dreamed of a grand palatial mansion. Of a grand means of a very big, palatial mansion means a palace like house. She always wanted a very big house, a house which actually looked like a palace. She wanted a house which had big rooms, then the rooms would be connected to smaller little rooms. For every single or every different occasion, there would be a different room altogether. For parties, there would be a different room. For dinners and lunches, there would be a different room. So, this was her dream of a big house. But here was the reality that she was living in a small little house, and the house was very shabby according to her. The house made her feel tormented and made her feel unhappy. Yet she had no rich dresses, no jewels, nothing, and these were the only things that she loved. She wanted so much to charm, to be envied, to be sought after. Okay, so in spite of wanting so much, or in spite of having such big dreams for herself, Here was the reality. This girl or this lady Method, she did not have any expensive dresses, she did not have any jewelries at all, and these were the only things which she loved. These were the things that made her feel happy, actually happy. Okay, and she wanted so much. She wanted so many things to charm other people. She wanted people to look at her and feel envious, feel jealous. She wanted people to look up to her. She wanted people to feel as if they want to be like her. So here was something that she had wished for, something very extraordinary, but the reality was completely different. She had a rich friend, a former schoolmate at the convent, whom she avoided visiting because afterwards she would weep with regret, despair, and misery. So this girl Methil, when she was in school, she had a friend, and this school friend of hers was very rich. She was very rich, but after she got married, she avoided meeting her friend because once she met her and came back home, she used to weep. She used to cry. She used to cry because of regret, because of sorrow, that my friend is so rich, but I am not. She used to cry because she always despaired. She was hopeless that her situation is not going to improve anytime soon in her life. She was married into a poor family. She was born in a poor family, and this is how life is going to be ahead. Okay, she used to cry after meeting her friend out of misery, that is extreme unhappiness. She always had these comparisons being made in her head between herself and her friend, and these comparisons were the reason that made her feel unhappy, hopeless, and sorrowful. One evening, her husband came home with an air of triumph, holding a large envelope in his hand. Look, he said, here's something for you. So one evening, her husband, Methel's husband, who was an official at the Ministry of Education, he came back home with an air of triumph. That is, he came home celebrating. He was happy. He was jumping, he was dancing, and he was very happy. And he came home, and when he entered the house, in his hand he was holding a big envelope, fancy looking envelope. And when he entered, he told his wife that, look, I have got something for you. I have a surprise for you. Right? Now, she tore open the paper and drew out a card on which was printed the words, "The Minister of Education and MME, Georges Ramponneau, request the pleasure of Mr. and Madam." Now, MME actually stands for Madam. Loisel's company at the ministry on the evening of Monday, January 18th. So here, when he entered, the man he entered the house, he was very happy. He showed a big fancy envelope to his wife. He gave it to her, and she, out of curiosity, she opened that envelope, and she removed a card. On the card were some words which were printed. And what was written on the card? It was written that the Minister of Education and Madame Georges Ramponneau request the pleasure of Mr. and Madam Loisel's company at the ministry on the evening of Monday, January 18th. So this was a formal invitation directly by the Minister of Education for Methilde and her husband, that is Mr. and Mrs. Loisel. So there was some party being organized. The party was organized by the Minister of Education, and he had invited Mr. and Mrs. Loisel, that is Methilde and her husband. The party was due for January 18th, which was a Monday, and it was going to be organized maybe for some official purpose. Instead of being delighted, as her husband had hoped, she threw the invitation on the table resentfully and muttered, "What do you want me to do with that? And what do you expect me to wear if I go? So here, her husband thought that after looking at the envelope and after reading that invitation that directly comes from the Minister of Education, who is such a prestigious man. So her husband thought that his wife would be very happy to be going to that party, meeting such big people and enjoying the evening. But here, instead of being delighted, instead of being happy, this lady Method, she just threw that invitation card on the table, and then she started muttering in a very low tone. She started talking. So what did she say? She asked her husband that what do you want me to do with that invitation? And if you are expecting that I will go to the party with you, then what am I supposed to wear for that party? Now definitely it's not a small little party, it's a big party where all big people of that city, of that town will definitely be coming. So she knew that for the party she had to have a very good dress, also a matching jewelry, and she knew that she neither had the dress nor the jewelry. And because of this, she was upset, and so she started shouting at her husband that if you want me to go to the party, then you please tell me that what should I wear. He hadn't thought of that. He stammered, "Why, the dress you go to the theatre in? It seems very nice to me." So this man, he did not think about all these things. He only thought that there was an invitation, there was a party, and he and his wife would be going to the party and they would be enjoying the evening with everybody else. But when suddenly his wife put forth a question before him, that was the time he started thinking and he got confused. Out of confusion, he started stammering, that is, he started talking but with breaks and pauses in between. And so he told his wife that you have that one dress which you wear when we go to a theater to watch a drama or a movie. So that dress I think is a very nice dress. It is very fit for any official party, or and we can wear it and you can wear it anywhere. So why don't you wear that dress? He stopped, stunned, distressed, to see his wife crying. He stuttered, "What's the matter? Let's see, Mathilde. How much would a suitable dress cost?" She thought for a moment, computing the cost and also wondering what amount she could ask for without an immediate refusal. At last she answered hesitantly, "I don't know exactly, but I think I could do it with 400 francs." So here this man, he saw that while they were having that conversation, it's not a conversation actually, it's an argument. So while the man and wife, they were arguing about what to wear at the party and what not to wear at the party, suddenly this lady Methil, she started crying. And when she started crying, her husband, that is Mr. Loisel, he just stopped talking. He was talking to her, he was trying to explain to her that you could wear this dress, you could wear that jewelry. So while he was talking with pauses and breaks, suddenly he realized that his wife had started crying. So he got stunned. Stunned means he was shocked for a moment. He got a bit distressed. He got a bit uncomfortable because he couldn't understand that why suddenly in between this conversation, why is she crying all of a sudden? Okay, there's no reason to cry, but she is crying. So he couldn't understand the reason behind it. And because of all this chaos going on, this man, he got very confused, he got stunned, he got shocked, and he was also very, very uncomfortable. He stuttered, "What's the matter? Let's see, Mathilde. How much would a suitable dress cost?" So here this shows how understanding, how respectful this man is. Instead of shouting at the wife that why are you crying and there's no reason to be so upset and everything like that, this man, he's trying to console her. This man, he's trying to sort things out with his wife. So he told his wife that please explain to me that why are you crying, and if it is for the dress, then let us see if we can calculate how much a suitable dress would cost, and if I have that much of money, then definitely we will buy one for you. She thought for a moment, computing the cost and also wondering what amount she could ask for without an immediate refusal. So, as soon as the man said that okay, we can come to a conclusion, we can calculate the price, and we can see if we have that much of money and we can buy a dress for you or not. So as soon as the man said this, the lady, she just stopped crying and she started computing the cost. She started calculating the cost for like minimalistic, the least, what would be the least cost for a good dress to such a grand party. And then she thought of an amount, and without refusing that no, let it be, we will not buy the dress. If we buy the dress, then we are going to waste this much of money. So she did not want to bargain with her husband on these terms, and so she told him that okay, let me think, let me calculate, and I'll give you an exact figure as to how much a dress would cost. At last, she answered hesitantly, I don't know exactly, but I think I could do it with 400 francs. So, finally, after calculating for some time, this lady, very hesitantly, doubtfully, she told her husband that, see, I don't know what would be the exact cost, the appropriate fixed cost of any suitable dress. I don't know it, but whatever I have heard of, or like whatever I know, whatever knowledge I have, from that I can say that maybe around 400 francs would be more than enough for a suitable dress. Now 400 francs uh, you know comes to around, like in today's time we can say it comes to around some 32,000 Indian rupees. So this lady, just for an evening, which would last for about 4 to 6 hours, for that one evening she was asking for a dress which would cost her husband and her 400 francs, okay, which was too much, which was actually very high amount. Then he turned a little pale because he had been saving that exact amount to buy a gun for a hunting summer in the country near Nanterre with a few friends. So, however, he said, very well, I can give you 400 francs, but try and get a really beautiful dress. So, the minute she told him that the dress would come to around 400 francs, this man, he turned pale, he turned completely colorless. He he couldn't think of, he turned blank, completely blank, because he was saving that exact amount, that 400 franc amount he was saving to buy a hunting gun for himself. He had planned to go on a hunting spree with his friends sometime in summer, and for that he was waiting to buy a hunting gun which would come to around 400 francs, and now his wife was asking for the same amount to buy a dress. So here again, instead of refusing to his wife's demand, this man, very politely he told his wife that okay, I will give you 400 francs, but you have to make sure that you buy a really pretty, beautiful looking dress with that money. A dress, which is actually worth the amount. So buy something which you wear at the party, and even after that, if we have to go somewhere, you can wear it there as well. And the dress has to look like a 400 franc dress, right? Now the day of the party drew near, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, restless, anxious, though her dress was ready. One evening her husband said to her, what's the matter? You've been acting strange these last 3 days. So now finally the day for the party was very close, and this lady, that is Madame Loisel, She looked very sad, very restless. She was very uncomfortable. She was nervous. Anxious means nervous, in spite of the fact that her dress was ready. So she had bought a dress which she liked. In spite of having a dress now, this lady still was not happy. Instead, she was nervous. So one evening, finally, the husband asked her that, I am observing you since the past 3 days, and I have observed that you are acting very strange. You look very upset all day. So, what exactly is the problem? She replied, I am upset that I have no jewels, not a single stone to wear. I would rather not go to the party. So she told her husband that, I am sad, I am upset because I don't have any jewel, I don't have any accessory, I don't even have one single stone which I can wear with that dress. So it's better that I don't go for the party. You could wear flowers, he said. They are very fashionable at this time of the year. So, again, now there was a new demand coming his way, and so the man again he was trying to make his wife understand that now you have a dress, you have purchased such an expensive dress, and after buying that dress, you are telling all this, so it doesn't make sense. So if you are worried about the jewelry, so you could wear flowers like a flower necklace, a flower earring pair, a flower, maybe you could wear a flower ring. So because this time of the year flowers are very in fashion, so you could wear them with that dress, and I'm sure that you would look very very pretty. So this was his way of handling that situation, which had come up again after that dress thing. Now, she was not convinced. The next day, she went to her friend's house and told her of her distress. Madame Forestier went to her mirrored wardrobe and took out a large box, brought it back, opened it, and said to Madame Loisel, choose, my dear. So, this lady, in spite of the poor little husband trying to convince her, he tried his level best, but this lady was not convinced. So, the next day, this lady, that is our central character Method, she went to meet her friend, her same school friend who was rich. So, she went to meet her friend, and once there at her house, she told her friend all her distress, all her story, how sad she was and what was she suffering from. So this lady, whose name was Madame Forestier, after listening to her friend's sad story, she immediately got up. She went inside her room and she brought a big large box, opened the box, and she gave it to her friend Madame Loisel Method. And she told her friend that now from this box you just choose, you select whatever you want to. First, Method saw some bracelets, then a pearl necklace. She tried on the jewelry in the mirror. She kept asking, you have nothing else? So, first, this lady, Method, as soon as the box was handed over to her, she took out some bracelets. She tried on the bracelets. She did not like them. Then she took a pearl necklace. She tried on that necklace, but she did not like it. She tried every piece of jewelry that was inside that box, and she was not uh, convinced with anything. So each time she took a jewelry and she tried it on, she kept asking her friend, don't you have anything more fancy? Don't you have anything which looks even more prettier than this? So that was the way she was, and that was Method for us, who always wanted more and more and more for herself. Why, yes, but I don't know what you like. Suddenly she discovered in a black satin box a superb diamond necklace, and her heart began to beat with uncontrolled desire. Her hands trembled as she took it. She fastened it around her neck and stood lost in ecstasy as she looked at herself. So this lady, that is Madame Forestier, she said that of course I have, many other jewelry pieces, but I don't know what you like, what your taste is. And suddenly, while the two ladies were talking, this lady Method, she discovered a black satin box, a black colored satin box. She saw that box was at the base, at the bottom of that large box, and she removed it, and inside that satin box was a superb diamond necklace. Looking at that necklace, her heart began to beat with uncontrolled desire. Her heart began to beat very fast. When she took the necklace in her hands started trembling, they started shivering. She immediately took the necklace, she put it around her neck, and she stood lost in ecstasy. As she looked at herself in the mirror, she was just lost in her own sweet world. She felt as if she belongs to some other world altogether. So that was the level of happiness that she felt at that very moment. She then asked anxiously, hesitating, "Would you lend me this, just this?" So, because she felt that that piece was a diamond necklace, she thought that it must be very expensive. And when she put it on, she felt as if this was the piece that was meant for her. So, very anxiously, nervously, hesitatingly, this lady, that is Mathilde, Madame Loisel, she asked her friend that if you are comfortable, then will you lend me this necklace? I will only ask for this. I don't want any other jewelry from your box. Why, yes, of course. She threw her arms around her friend's neck rapturously, then fled with her treasure. So, this lady, Madame Forestier, she said that yes, of course, you can take that necklace. And as soon as her friend gave her the permission to wear that necklace to the party, our central lady, that is Method, she just threw her arms around her friend's neck, and she very tightly gave her a tight hug, and she left her house. The day of the party arrived. Madame Loisel was a success. She was prettier than all the other women, elegant, gracious, smiling, and full of joy. So finally, now everything was set. Her dress was in place, her jewelry was in place, and finally it was the day of the party. Madame Loisel got ready, she dressed up with everything in place, and when she went into that party hall, she was a complete stunner. She was a success at the party. She was looking very pretty. She was prettier than all the other women who had come to that party. She looked very elegant, very graceful. She looked very gracious. She was looking very kind, very beautiful. She was smiling all the time, and she was full of joy. She was very excited. She danced wildly with passion, forgetting everything in the triumph of her beauty and success, floating in a cloud of happiness. So, when at the party she met few people at the party, then she began dancing. She was dancing wildly with complete passion. She forgot everything in her victory. She knew that she was looking very beautiful. She knew that she was the most beautiful woman in that party hall. And because she knew this, she felt that she is a complete success. She finally felt that yes, I have done it. I have achieved what I wanted to. And because of all this, she was dancing wildly. She forgot about everything, and she was just floating in a cloud of happiness. She was just on cloud 9. Mathilde and her husband left at about 4 o'clock in the morning. When they were finally in the street, they could not find a cab. They walked down toward the Seine till they found one. They were dropped off at their door in the Rue des Martyrs, and sadly, it was all over for her. So finally, the party was still going on, but Mathilde and her husband, Mr. Loisel, they left the party hall at 4 o'clock in the morning. So when they came out of the party hall, when they were walking, they could not find any cab. So they walked down. So they walked down toward the scene, and they walked till they found a cab for themselves. So finally they got a cab, and this cab, the cab driver, he dropped them till their house. And once they reached the house, Methil realized that yes, now it is all over. My dream is over. I am back to where I belonged. In front of the mirror, she took a final look at herself in all her glory. But suddenly she uttered a cry. She no longer had the necklace round her neck. So finally, when she entered her house, before changing back to her clothes, the normal clothes, she just stood in front of the mirror. She took a final look at herself, just to that last one glimpse of herself. She wanted that last one glimpse of herself. But while she was looking at herself in the mirror, suddenly she uttered a cry. She just shouted, and she started crying. She realized that the necklace was no longer around her neck. "What is the matter?" asked her husband. She turned towards him, panic stricken. I have, I have, I no longer have Madame Forestier's necklace. He stood up, distraught. What? How? That's impossible. So, when she shouted and she started crying, her husband came running into the room, and he asked her that what is the matter? Why did you shout, and why are you crying? So she turned towards her husband, panic stricken, very fearful. Now she got scared what her husband will do, and what is she going to tell her friend. So she got very scared, and out of fear, she stammered and she told her husband that I don't have the necklace. The necklace that I had borrowed from my friend Madame Forestier, I don't have that necklace around my neck. So the statement, when the man he heard that statement, he stood up. He was completely distraught. He was very, very angry, and he told his wife that how did this happen? How could you be so irresponsible, so careless? This is impossible. How could you lose such an expensive piece? Okay, so this is our story, the first part of the story, where we have our central character, where we know what kind of a person she is, and because of her endless desires, she has landed herself in great trouble. So in the second part of the story, we will see how and whether or not Methilde and her husband are able to find a solution to this problem that they have encountered or not. Okay, so we'll stop here today, and we'll meet in the next session. Till then, take care all of you, and thank you very much.